Hello and welcome to Transplant's Take on Sport. My name is Lewis Daniels and joining me today is kidney transplant recipient, YouTuber and former semi-professional footballer Mark Zoel. We discuss Mark's experience of being diagnosed with lupus all the way through to him receiving a kidney from his brother Jason, as well as his time playing for Wealdstone FC and some of his running and hiking achievements. Mark also talks to me about his sporting plans for the future and his brilliant YouTube channel, Transplant Fitness, so please stick around to find out more. If you're enjoying the podcast, please make sure you press subscribe or follow wherever you normally listen so you don't miss an episode. And if you'd like to follow the podcast on social media, all the links will be in the show notes. Mark Zoel, welcome to Transplant's Take on Sport.
Hi there, Lewis. Very good to be here.
Thank you so much for coming on. I think you might be the first lupus patient that we've had on the podcast so far. So for those who aren't aware, what is lupus and when were you first diagnosed?
Lupus is an autoimmune disease. I was diagnosed when I was 17 years old. It's a disease that attacks your active living cells inside your body. You can basically be diagnosed with lupus in any organ in your body. I was diagnosed in my kidneys, and at the time I had no idea, absolutely no idea that I was suffering from it. Like I said, I was 17, quite young, quite active, quite fit, doing everything that a 17-year-old would be doing. And then I got hit with this kidney diagnosis, and I was told that it was attacking my kidneys and that I would need medicine to recover from it, to get better from it.
How did you take that diagnosis at first? Because I'm reading your story, you were quite young at the time, quite similar to my diagnosis.
Yeah.
And it is a lot to take, especially when you're in your late teens.
Yeah. Do you know, I don't think I processed it properly when I was that young, to be honest, because I was I think I was at college at the time, on a football scholarship. So I was doing lots of things that I had planned for in the future. And when it hit me, I don't think I understood at the time how serious it was at all, because I still thought, no, I'm still going to play football. I'm still going to sort of do what I want to do with it. But I didn't realize that the tablets, I'd have to take tablets every single day for the rest of my life, and things would have to stop and things would have to change. So I think I didn't really understand at the time. It took a few more years before I really thought, right, this is properly serious right now.
So you'd have been at college at that time, weren't you?
Yeah.
How did that affect you going through that period, especially when generally the people that you're around at that point,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to assume, but the majority will be completely fit and healthy.
Yeah. I mean, I think I was quite lucky at the time that my wife, who I've been married to for now 5 years, we'd met before college. So we'd been together since high school, and she was completely supportive, and she was always there to help me through these sorts of times when I was younger. But yeah, I was literally on a football scholarship, like I said, and they were all super fit, healthy 17-year-olds as well. And they didn't understand at all. And all my friends and stuff, they would, try and say the things they thought you needed to hear, maybe, saying that you'll be fine, you'll be this, you'll be that. But just the underlying feature was they just had no idea what was going on, because I didn't either. So I couldn't even explain to them what was going on. So yeah, it was kind of a strange situation, to be honest.
Was it a safe space to talk about how you might have been feeling or the illness you were going through?
I do think it was a safe space, but I just don't think I knew how to communicate it with some friends. I think at the time, like I said, I didn't have the correct understanding, and I found it impossible to tell anyone else how I felt as well.
And then going on from there, at what point did you find out that it was really starting to damage your kidneys? I mean, we're going to come on to your transplant a bit later on.
Yeah, I'd say that after diagnosis at 20, I was given tons of medication for it to sort of like to stop it in its tracks. I think I was diagnosed at a point where my kidneys were working at around 40% function. And then it wasn't until I was probably about 20, 21 that I started the real hardcore medication, the prednisolone steroids, to really look after it. My kidney function was starting to sort of drop regularly when I was about 20. And I don't think I was looking after myself as much as I should have. I wasn't sort of eating right. I wasn't exercising right, because it was obviously a time for me that wasn't the best time. So I must have been struggling to deal with it looking back on it. And then, yeah, in my early 20s, I thought, right, this is really serious now. I've got all these tablets to take on time every single day. I need to get this back on track. And I think it wasn't until I moved out to university where I started to really turn it back around on itself. And I thought, right, I'm going to start controlling this rather than let it control me. And that's when it sort of changed then.
I think that's key, and people to be able to take something from that. The fact that you control your illness condition, it doesn't control you.
Mm.
Do you think from playing football and by the sound of it to quite a good standard, do you think the discipline from that helped you in controlling your illness and taking your tablets on time, sticking to those routines?
Yes, definitely. Especially after I had sort of processed it from the age of 17. When I got to this stage, like I said, probably about 20 years old, I was probably at my lowest. I had literally stopped playing any football, no exercise at all, gained weight, wasn't living the way I wanted to. And then from that point on, I was like, right, yeah, this is where it turns around. And I do think definitely the whole discipline with sport and doing things sort of regularly definitely helped me sort of put my own plan and structure for myself to get back into the shape that I wanted to be in.
I'm sure we'll come on to it in more detail later, but do you think that sporting background has helped you even more so after your transplant when still you've got, I mean, I've seen your videos again, which we'll come on to talk to you later, you've got heaps of medication to take.
Yes, loads and loads. I'm like right now in the middle of making another video all about my medication and how I take them and when to take them and stuff like that. And yeah, most definitely, just the whole motivation and drive and sort of structure behind it has definitely helped me to structure that as well.
I've said before we're going to come and talk about your transplant further into the podcast, but how far in advance did you know that you'd need a transplant in the future?
They told me pretty early on, probably in between the time when I was 17, between the ages of 17 and 20, they said you'll most likely need a transplant. And again, I don't think I processed that at all. Like it was just a complete passing comment in my head. It just went straight through me. I was like, oh, okay, then fine. Didn't really process it. And then I was told that I would probably need a transplant within 4 or 5 years when I was late teens. And because after I turned 20, like I said, I sort of took more control. I did manage to stretch it out to 10, 11 years. And that was definitely with the help of sport as well. And that's sort of the process they end up taking.
So attitude sounds like it's definitely helped you there. We'll come on to your sport now. You mentioned football. Was that your main sport that you played growing up?
Yes, been playing it since I was a little boy. Sunday league football. All the parents know about it. Mum used to drive me every Sunday morning, freezing cold, standing outside. Been playing for Wealdstone FC literally since I was a little boy. I was on their academy. Played through teenage years all the way up to college, where I eventually got onto a football scholarship to play for the professional side. And this all just hit me literally just before sort of breaking into the first team onto the pitch and stuff. But yeah, it has been literally my life since I was a kid, since I was a boy.
My next question is, and some listeners, regular listeners who have heard people who've played football speak before, they might be expecting a certain answer here, but what position did you play?
I was a striker.
We've
I
not got
played
a goalkeeper.
striker. I've not was a goalkeeper. No, not a goalkeeper. Always been a striker. Always wanted to be the one in the headlines, glory, scoring all the goals. So yeah, always been that.
A lot of top scoring seasons.
Yeah, as a youngster, I think I grew up quite fast. I was always quite tall for my age, and so I was always quite at an advantage for like under 10s, under 11s, and stuff. So yeah, quite a lot of top scorer seasons,
Tall and
a lot
fast.
of trophies.
Tall and fast. Wealdstone FC's Erling Haaland.
Yes, exactly.
As you mentioned there, Wealdstone.
hmm
Wealdstone FC that you played for all the way through.
hmm
How old were you when you were offered that semi-pro deal?
Literally on the point of going from high school to college. So I was about 15, 16. Like I said, I'd been in the academy since I was like 5 or 6. And I was known very well throughout the academy from the lower ranks all the way to the top ranks. And it was just a point of making sure that when I got to this certain age, they would keep me in under their wing and keep progressing with me. And yeah, when I was at college, I was literally training 3 or 4 times a week, playing games every single week, talking to all the people that I need to speak to get to the higher level. And that's when it all just came crashing down. And I didn't ever get to play in the first team after that.
That's a shame. How did you find the academy process? There might be people listening who've been through that themselves. I haven't. It sounds quite intense.
It is super intense, but I absolutely loved it. I absolutely loved it. It was really, really intense. I was doing it, like I said, when I was at college. So I was doing it alongside a sort of BTEC study in sports science as well, because I obviously need to keep studying on the side. And it was literally three training sessions a week, a game every weekend, and it's just nonstop football in your mind. I absolutely love that, and I miss that a lot. But yeah, it is non-stop football in your mind. And because you're training so much, you end up looking after yourself so much better. You eat better because of it. You sleep better because of it. It all just rolls into one nice bundle of a good routine.
Have you got plans to get back into football, maybe transplant football sometime in the future?
That is a real plan of mine. Yeah, even leading up to my transplant, I've been playing football just on the side as well. Nothing close to being competitive, but after my transplant, it's definitely a real goal of mine. But now I play so many other sports, I'm not sure where I want to sort of put my skills into. So I'm going to have to decide. But yeah, that's definitely a dream of mine.
We've mentioned Wealdstone FC quite a few times now.
Yeah.
Regular listeners, anyone listening might recognise the name Wealdstone FC for
Yeah.
one particular reason. If anyone's not clocked on, in the edit, I'll play the clean parts of
Oh
the
my gosh,
viral
yeah,
clip
please.
now. We'll see how much we can get in.
You've got no friends. You've got no ground. What you want some?
Huh?
You want some? If you want some, I'll give it you. You want to do with me?
Based on that, when you said he didn't play for the first team,
Mhm.
did you watch them a few times? I'm presuming you had a decent amount of fans.
Yeah, I did go see them quite a few times actually, and I know exactly who you're talking about. This Raider himself. So yeah, I'm sure he's well known.
Oh, the Wealdstone Raider. Did you ever see him at the ground?
Do you know what? I don't think I ever saw him, but I'm sure he must have been there, and like I just subconsciously heard him, but I don't think I've ever saw it, like seen it. I don't think I ever picked him out in the crowd.
He sounds very vocal, and
Yeah,
he's
exactly.
put
Yeah.
Wealdstone on the map. I mean, it's a great video, and to be fair to him, he's doing good things from it. It went viral.
He is. Yeah, he is.
By the sound of it, from an interview I've seen for him, he was getting provoked by the opposition
Yeah,
fans.
yeah,
And I watched an interview with him that he's using it now, using the fame, if you like,
fame. Yeah,
to for good and do a load of charity work. So
yeah. Good on
fair
him.
play to him for turning what was a difficult situation
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
into a massive positive. Do you think your lupus diagnosis and your kidney issues, I mean, you've talked about, affected your ability to play football, and to what extent?
I do think it has, and I think I only realised this looking back on it because obviously you don't know this at the time. But I was reading through your story as well, and you spoke a lot about getting cramps during the night and cramps just throughout the day. I used to suffer from that a lot when I was 15, 16, 17. And of course, I'm playing football at the time. So you think, oh, I haven't recovered properly. I haven't, eaten properly. And that's the reason for it. And really, really close to my diagnosis, I do remember playing football, and every day I'd get the worst cramps from it. And it got to a point where literally my coaching staff would have a go at me because they thought I wasn't looking after myself. I was like, I don't know what's going on. I seriously don't know. But I don't know, in terms of fitness and stuff like that, I don't think it affected me, like my cardiovascular system, stuff like that. But yeah, there's like odd things here and there that I thought, yeah, that's strange. And looking back, it's like, yeah, it was because I was suffering from kidney disease.
Did you ever see anyone about your cramps?
No, just like the standard physio and nothing no one to pick it up seriously. But yeah,
Going through a similar thing, it was the university physio, which you got free through playing for one of the sports teams. And they were trying all sorts of exercises. Like my ankles, I can't point my toes towards my head beyond 90 degrees still.
Yeah,
And that was an issue at the time.
yeah.
And then I got referred to the musculoskeletal assessment team at the hospital, and no one could really work it out.
No.
There was talk, because there was a fluid in my knees as well, and my knees had never been a problem. But then looking back, that was just the fluid from the kidney disease. But they were talking about like slashing my calves and Achilles tendons just to loosen it all off. And
great.
I think that was going off on a tangent here on my story, but that was probably a point that made me go and get checked out further and think that something wasn't quite right, because I didn't want that to happen.
No, definitely not. My cramps are always in my hamstrings, so I would literally be able to run after. I'd literally just cramp up and stand like a statue. I couldn't even move, couldn't bend over.
A shotgun effect on the pitch. Did you ever get that?
I did. I literally was sprinting down on the pitch, and you just freeze because you can't do it anymore. I just fall over, literally.
The Raider will have you in the car park.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
And aside from football, reading your story, you're big into your fitness, and we're going to come on to your current challenges that you're doing now for kidney research later on.
Mm-hmm.
You've been involved with cycling, hiking, running. How did you first get into those activities? And was that to help with football mainly?
I'd say so, yeah. Again, looking back on it, something had to replace my football, because I was just one of those people that just finds it hard to rest, finds it hard to just not do anything throughout the day. So I picked up. My friends and I have always been into sort of doing like long treks and long hikes and stuff. And we randomly went up to the Peak District one year and just climbed a few peaks, and we absolutely loved it. And then since then, we planned to do one each year. The well-known Three Peaks Challenge of the UK, Ben Nevis, Scaffold Peak, and Snowdonia. We wanted to do that. To do that in 24 hours is the actual challenge. We're nowhere near doing that at all. But we have managed to do 2.5 of them, I would say. Yeah, so my friends and I have literally trekked up and done hiking. I think hiking was the one thing that I enjoyed the most after my football died down. And then since then, it's just been a few odd bits and pieces here and there. Like I said, football every week, and then cycling to go to football and stuff like that. But yeah, the hiking has been the number one thing that I've really, really loved.
Has that been good to clear your head? Because you sort of get that away out in the open, away
Definitely.
from everything.
Definitely. And it makes you feel like you can still achieve things, because I was doing this with still like less than 40% kidney function, and that was decreasing year after year after year. And it just made you feel like, yeah, you can still do things. You don't just, don't just sit around thinking, oh, I've got to take these tablets and they're stopping me from doing things. It's like, no, I can still do them.
When you were doing that, had your diet had to have changed because of the illness?
Oh yeah, my diet changed completely. So again, when I was 20 and I thought, right, I need to change something completely, I read a few books, did a few bits of research online, and it seemed like the right thing to do was to change my diet and become a vegetarian. So many things have been spoken about how your body processes meat fats and the stress it puts it under. And I thought, I need to try something. So then from the age of 20, I literally became vegetarian. I tried being vegan. It was just too hard for me at the time. I mean, this is like 10, 11 years ago now, so it's not as big veganism as it is now. So I just settled for vegetarian, and it really, really helped. Like, it helped my kidney function. It helped all my blood tests when they came back. It got to a point where I was literally getting fitter, getting off certain tablets that I had to take to look after myself. I was doing it naturally. And my doctors at the hospital, they never really highlighted diet as something you should really change or look after. But I knew it was having an effect because I felt much better doing it. And I could do things like hiking up mountains and play football every week. So yeah, it definitely helped, like becoming a vegetarian.
With being a vegetarian, when you're out on your hikes, how did that affect the snacks that you took with you? How you'd fuel yourself?
I just have like 15 Snickers bars and a Lucozade bottle, to be honest. I think we literally we just snacked on nuts and stuff like that. So I don't think we weren't the most professional of hikers, by the way, Lewis. Like, seriously, it wasn't like a full-on production. We just tried our best to get out there with whatever food we had in our bags from Tesco or something. So, but yeah, it wasn't too serious.
Well, thinking about that, most snacks probably aren't meat-based. Probably not much of an issue there, is there?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I was not too bad with my nuts and my chocolate, so it was fine.
I was thinking back to Duke of Edinburgh and all the cereal bars and
exactly, yeah,
nuts, whatever else you might take. Probably, I think I took popcorn on mine.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So hiking, you enjoyed that the most, but you've also done quite a lot of runs, long distance runs, 5K park runs, half marathons.
Yeah,
you've done a 10K for Movember.
Yeah, this was something that my friends got me into more than I thought. I didn't think I would enjoy this as much. I don't think I've ever enjoyed long distance running as a footballer, because you never do. But then, just sort of started randomly going out for a few jogs with a few mates. They got into running their 5Ks quite regularly with the free park runs on the weekends. So I joined them for a bit, and I absolutely loved it. My times kept going down and down and down. I'm very, very competitive. Like, literally instantly talking to you about timings already. And I've got a mate who's running like 5Ks super fast when I started. And I thought, I'm just going to try and beat him. I literally just trying to beat him. So I just kept going and going and going. And then, we joined another friend and I joined a half marathon. We ended up completing that. And then I thought, you know what? And it was something that I was better at than I thought I was. So I thought, this is something that I really want to chase and really want to go down that avenue. And it's something that I also want to do now again after my transplant, something that I really seriously want to take control of. What
sort of times were you doing those in for the runners out there?
For 5K, I started, this isn't going to sound impressive at all, I started at like 36 minutes for 5K. And within a year, after keep on going, I was down to 25 minutes for a 5K. Sorry?
That's quite a big change.
It is a big change. But at this time, I think I was losing weight as well and going through a nice level of fitness. So yeah, my PB was 25, but that was literally 2 weeks before my transplant. So my transplant got in the way.
And on the transplant leading up to it, when you got quicker going up to your transplant.
Yeah.
Did you notice an impact on how far you could run, how fast you could run, your stamina because of the decrease in kidney function?
Do you know what? I don't think I did, and it's really strange. I feel like the fittest I'd ever been was the week before my transplant. My transplant was like, I had to go into the hospital on a Sunday for the transplant to be on the Monday. That Saturday before, I was doing a 5K park run and just chilling and doing it as best as I could, and I felt really, really good doing it. So I don't think I felt any side effects from my function was down like 10 by now, but I literally couldn't feel it for some reason. So I think it's just one of those things sometimes when you're just in the groove, you don't really know.
Yeah, it's impressive, and obviously a lot of determination there because you're in that situation where
Mm,
I know my position, the transplant was on my mind a lot. I was still playing cricket,
mm.
and maybe mentally, I know I was thinking I don't want to overdo it and push myself too much that close to my transplant. But you seem to be going right. We're doing it. I presume that would have helped in your recovery as well.
I think it definitely did. But I definitely had my wife and other people around me thinking like you, don't do this, don't do that. But yeah, I think naturally I was just like, no, I just want to do as much as I can leading up to it. And I know that, healthier mind, healthier body gives you quicker recovery as well. So yeah, I'm sure it did have a sort of an effect on my recovery as well.
Other running events you've done, Tough Mudder.
Oh yeah.
I I wanted to do that before my transplant.
Yeah.
Maybe not now afterwards. It looks like a lot of fun, but how difficult is it?
Oh, it's absolutely crazy. And again, I think I've done 3 in total. I think I've done 1 full one and like 2 like 5K or 10K like mini ones. And the full one was the first one that I ever did. I think I did this maybe like it was like 24, 25. So I just done really well in sort of controlling my lupus. I was at a really good stage in my mid-20s, playing my football, being really fit and healthy. And then my friends were like, it's just a Tough Mudder. And it was literally like so last minute, like no training or anything. I'm like, yeah, fine, let's do it. And it was super hard. But again, it's just one of those things like when you've done it, you think, wow, like look what I've managed to achieve. Like so many people around me, they all have their own stories doing their Tough Mudder. I'm sure I'm not the only one. But for me, it was really a good personal achievement for me.
What was the toughest obstacle on the course?
Oh, the toughest obstacle. There's so many where you have to swing with your body weight using your own like monkey bars and stuff like that, and then they swing and then they turn and they twist as well. And the worst experience was the Arctic Enema, which is basically a pool of icy cold water, and you have to slide into it, and then you have to go through through a tire which is inside the water, and your body just freezes. It absolutely like you couldn't move after. Like we all just sat there for like 2 minutes afterwards trying to get our breath back. And then there's like a 1K run up a hill after that. So yeah, it's super exciting, super tricky, and super hard. But when it's done, you're like, yeah, that's pretty cool that I finished that.
It looks so cool to do, and it must obviously just feel good afterwards. I've watched videos of it. The 2 obstacles that stood out for me as the ones that you think that looks tough was the ice water, like you said,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
when you did it, did they have the electric wires hanging down from the top they had to run through?
That was the last obstacle. Literally, the finish line is beyond the electric wires. So all of us, I think there's 5 of us in the group, literally just held hands and just bombed it and sprinted through it. And you just hear people getting zapped every second. Yeah, that was fun as well.
We'll come on to your transplant now. We've sort of touched on it a few times with how your sports helped and how much time you were given to, or time you were told before you might need a transplant.
Hmm.
Your transplant was a live donor from your younger brother, Jason.
Yeah, that's correct.
Did many more of your family come forward?
Yeah, I think honestly, I think everyone wanted to, and they all showed interest in wanting to help, which was absolutely amazing. Like the support at the time was incredible. But then my mindset was really strange at the time. I didn't want a live donor. I didn't want anyone going through that for me. I didn't want anything to go wrong for them just because of me. So I think I spent like a year on the deceased list waiting for a transplant before my doctor's like, right, your kidney function is dropping faster than you want it to. You're going to have to reconsider your options. So at the time, my mum, my younger brother, my older brother, and my dad all stepped forward to say, look, can we get tested to see what's going on? And a few friends did as well. So I had a lot of support at that time.
I can understand your thinking with not wanting to have a live donor and not put them through it. What is realistically quite a major operation, but as far as the transplant surgeons are concerned, for them, and that's what they were saying when I was going through mine with my mum. For them, it's quite a routine procedure. They do it every day. They're happy to do it.
Yeah.
I know it was a difficult decision for you, but from your family's point of view, all the ones that came forward,
Hmm.
was it relatively easy, straightforward? Yeah, we'll do it.
Yeah, this was even before they'd even known what the donor would go through. They all just stepped up and went, "Yeah, get me tested. I want to see if I'm a match for you," which is fantastic at the time, as you can imagine. So, and I think they can only test 3 people at a time. So my younger brother, my mum, and one of my best friends got tested, and it turned out, yeah, that Jason was a perfect match for me, completely fit and healthy as well, just a younger version of me, to be honest. So he was perfect for me. So
It's so good to hear these stories when people go through it and the family connections, family donors. Do you think it's brought you closer together as a family, especially with your brother?
oh, definitely, definitely. My brother and I are closer than we've ever been before. It's not that we were ever like distant, because he used to play Sunday league football as well. He was at Wealdstone as well. He sort of followed the same sort of path as I did. But afterwards, the connection is just different. That 3 or 4 days we spent in the hospital together will like just remain with me forever. Like it was almost like happened yesterday. I can tell you every single conversation we had if I could sit here with you for 2 hours. But yeah, it's definitely the connection we've got now is like completely different to how it was before the transplant.
When you're in the bed, you're next to each other.
Yeah, we're right next to each other.
It must have been like being kids again, just
It was,
sitting next to each other all the time, talking about anything.
yeah, literally speaking about what we were eating, talking about how nasty our porridge was. Literally, like I could tell you every single conversation.
And were you able to avoid dialysis beforehand?
Yes, I was, and that's why my doctors in the end persuaded me, like, let's check out this live donor option for you because you are going to end up on a machine.
To avoid that, did you have to make any sort of lifestyle changes or dietary changes other than going vegetarian, which by the sounds of it helped a lot?
Yeah, at the time I went through quite a few things that they spoke about throughout the years. A low salt diet, low sodium diet. Again, I think that benefits everyone, to be honest. Like even if you're not a kidney disease patient, I had to have a low potassium diet as well. I went like 8 years without having a banana. Like seriously, the first banana after transplant was amazing, and it's like less potato and less stuff like that as well. So yeah, there was a few little odds and bits and pieces that I had to consider with my diet leading up to the transplant as well.
I don't think we've spoken about the low potassium diet on here before. I could be wrong, but would you be able to give a brief explanation, description of what that involves, what you maybe would avoid eating or limit eating?
Yeah, no potato. literally no potato, and no bananas is what I was told, because those are the two main contributors. And potato can be found in most dishes that you want to eat anyway, so that was quite tricky. And just having whole meal for everything, whole meal rice, whole meal bread, whole meal pasta, and just keep it as plain and simple as possible. They gave you they gave me at the time like loads of leaflets and loads of things like that. As now I can't remember it off the top of my head, but at the time I was very, very well invested in it and following it to a T. So
I think that's the right way to be. I was very, very into the low protein diet, which I don't think I spoke about on here before either, to the point of going gluten free because gluten free bread had less protein than regular bread,
yeah,
and just to pack the calories in with
yeah.
the set amount of protein. What was your substitute for potato if you had one?
I don't think I did substitute it, to be honest. I think I had it. I just ended up having it less often, like a lot less often, because I love jacket potato. Like, I could have jacket potato most weeks, so that was really hard for me to give up. So I think I'd have it just left off less often rather than replaced it with anything.
What was the first jacket potato like after your transplant? I know they do them in hospitals quite a lot.
To be honest, I like the one in hospital, to be honest, because it's literally there. It was really good, but the banana after that was the one for me. The banana after was so good.
You've been making a lot of banana bread in lockdown.
Oh yeah, my wife has, yeah, banana muffins and everything.
After your transplant, has everything been going smoothly since?
No, not really. Not as smooth as predicted. The first week after transplant was amazing. In hospital, my creatinine levels were fantastic. My kidney function was up in the 90s. Everything was going really good. And then within 2 weeks, I was back in hospital because they spotted that my creatinine was jumping up super high. And it turned out that I had some T cell rejection in my kidney, and it needed to be treated with prednisolone steroids to help counteract the rejection that I was getting in the kidney. And then it sort of spiraled from there, and it's got to a point now where it's being controlled. The rejection is gone completely, and I'm just sort of recovering from the side effects of what they've given me now.
Yeah, it's
But
good to hear.
right now, it's really, really good.
Would you be able to describe a bit about T cell rejection if you can?
Yeah, of course. So
Excellent.
it's literally it's a case that obviously I've got my brother's kidney inside of me, and your body just doesn't like it in there. It just doesn't. It knows that it's not part of your body. It knows that it's not supposed to be inside you, and your immune system just starts attacking it. So my immune system started to attack the cells in the kidney. And you can see this just based on a very simple, well, I say simple, but a biopsy, which I'm sure you've had loads of as well. And yeah, you can see the inflammation and stuff like that that's occurring. And it just needs to be stamped out as soon as possible. If that gets out of hand, it's hard to come back from. But I've also been told, I've been told, and it's been proven, that if you can spot it and stop it quickly, it's almost as if you never had it. And that's just at the stage that I'm at now, which I'm very thankful for. So you wouldn't even know if you took a scan of my kidney that it was ever being rejected, because it's in a really good state right now.
So you had quite a few biopsies then since you transplanted? Because I've only had the one, and that was original diagnosis.
Mm-hmm.
What are they like to go through after you transplant? Were they going through the front and being able to sort of see the... For anyone who's not had one, the needles, I described it as about the size of a fingernail.
Yes.
What's it like to see it?
It's super strange, but I think I'm a bit weird in that sense, where I love watching all that stuff. Like, if anyone's seen any of my videos, you'll see that I'm on the operating table or in wherever, and I've got my camera with me at the same time. So I'm recording screens and everything. And I did say to my doctor when he came in to do the biopsy, I'm like, look, I'm just making a YouTube video. Do you mind if I record you? And he was like, I don't feel comfortable you recording me in case I make a mistake. I was like, fine, that's okay. But yeah, it's strange going through the front, and it's the same sensations though. That spring-loaded needle that just shoots through you and springs back up. Yeah, it's very strange, but satisfying for me in a very strange way.
You filmed a video on the stent removal, didn't you, after your transplant?
Yes, I did.
That's
Yeah.
a weird process to see.
Oh my gosh, yeah. That's something that I wasn't really told about that leading up to it as well. And I didn't really know that was how it was going to be removed, or even that there was one inside me. And yeah, so many people have seen that video, because it just shows that not many people are prepared for it. So I tried to record as much as I could, but anyone that's gone through that process will know that's not the easiest thing to record. So
I think there's a lot of questions around that leading up to it once you find out that it's coming. And being in there at the time, I may lower the tone here. But you go in there, it's freezing. I'm sure everyone goes in and makes the same joke. Oh, it's cold in here. And then the weird feeling of turning, I was sort of facing one side because it was uncomfortable. And then you turn round and you're inside as on a 50-inch TV next to you.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's super, super strange. And I know that it's obviously different male and female. I had 3 female nurses doing this as well. It's just like the strangest sensation for me. And yeah, I was watching the video and the recording and everything. So very strange procedure.
I asked a question before mine, which I wanted to see if you, now we're onto it, if you had the similar sort of thought, or maybe asked a similar question. I was asking about I think it's called a cytoscope, the little camera with the claw on the end.
Yeah.
They use to pull the stent out. I was concerned about how big that was, which I think natural. I hope natural. And when asked how big it was, they replied, it's about the size of a pencil.
Yeah. I walked in, and next to my bed on the table was the scope, and it was a scary, scary thing to see. It was the diameter of a pencil, quite thick. And I was like, yeah, that's going to not be the most fun thing I'm going to go through during this whole procedure.
My follow-up question was, the whole pencil or just the lead inside? Is it one of those massive pencils, comedy-sized pencils? But not a pleasant experience.
No, agree.
And the less said about that, the better. But it's something that people are always concerned about. And I'm not sure how many views your video is on, but by the sound of it, it is something that people are intrigued to see to calm their nerves beforehand.
Yeah. I think it's on like 30K or something. So yeah, lots of people have seen that.
And if you haven't seen it already, and that's something you're not looking forward to, but you're going to have in the future if you're pre-transplant or if you just had a transplant, go and have a look. And we'll talk about where you can find that later on.
Yeah,
but yeah, please go and have a look. In fact, we may as well come on to that now. You have a YouTube channel, an Instagram page, Facebook page, Twitter page called Transplant Fitness.
Yep.
For those who haven't seen it, how would you describe your content?
My YouTube channel is all about informing people, showing people my journey just to help them through their journey. I mean, as soon as I knew that I was having a transplant, when it was confirmed, I thought there are so many questions that I've got, and it's not that you're scared to ask them. Sometimes you don't know where to go find the answer. There's so much information on the internet. And I ended up just YouTubing things, as we all do these days. I found a really interesting video from a girl in America who had just recorded her entire time in hospital during her transplant. And I thought that's definitely something I want to do. And it's just sort of gone on from there. I just thought, I'm going to document everything that happens to me. So any procedure, any change in medication, anything that I can just pass on as knowledge to help someone is what I'm going to record and document. And that's what all the videos are all about at the moment.
They're brilliant videos. If anyone hasn't watched them, I highly recommend you do.
Oh,
I've been
thank
watching
you.
them, and it's so clear and so well explained.
That's
I
the
think it will help a lot
teacher
of
in me
people.
coming up.
But yeah, like today, you've explained everything so well. You do it on there as well. What's been your favourite video to make, if you like?
There's been quite a few. I think my out and out favorite video is the actual transplant week in hospital.
That's a
I think
good
it
one.
was the second video that came out. It's simply just called the transplant journey, and it's literally the 7 or 8 days I spent in hospital during the transplant, and just the whole process. It's super emotional. All the songs that go with it just literally make me get goosebumps all over, and it really shows what could or might happen to someone for that week whilst you're in hospital. And I think that's exactly the message that I tried to get across.
What you're doing is working. What are your goals with YouTube and social media? Because you've got quite a following already.
Yeah, I mean, I had a really big break last year. I think everyone was suffering from COVID and not in their best frame of mind. So I literally didn't make a video for an entire year. Only this year that I've started to pick it back up again. And do you know, I haven't even thought about it long term. I just want to keep making videos that help people. I've always said, literally from the start, that even if my video helps one person, it's worth me making it. And that's the sort of mindset I'm going to keep going with going forward.
Absolutely. One of your more recent ones, I think I saw it on your Instagram, which I've written down as a topic to talk about, if you're all right with it, was on post-transplant. I hope I'm going to say this right. Erythrocytosis.
Erythrocytosis,
That's
yes.
the one.
Don't worry, I practiced forever saying that before I went recording myself.
How would you describe that? How have you dealt with it?
It's something that I was diagnosed with recently. It's literally something where you have your hemoglobin levels are too high. You essentially have too much blood in your body. And this is something I've never heard of before. And this is how I just get inspired to make a video. It's like, oh, I've never heard of this. So I'm guessing there's tons of other people that haven't. So let me make a video about it. And yeah, I was just having my regular blood tests and they said, yeah, your hemoglobin levels are super high. I think if they monitor you over like 2 or 3 weeks and it's still high, they then officially diagnose you with post-transplant erythrocytosis. And they gave me some medication to help dampen. I'm going to go really scientific now. Your kidney produces EPO, a hormone, and EPO is what the cyclists used to use when they were doing their drug cheating during the whole Lance Armstrong saga, because it increases your blood cells, which increases your aerobic capacity, and you have more oxygen in your body. My kidney was producing too much EPO, and it was then interacting with your bone marrow to create blood cells, and mine was just hyperreactive. So I had to essentially just get blood removed to lower my blood count. And that happened, I think, 2 weeks ago. And I haven't even I think my next blood test is tomorrow. So I'll see if it's made a difference then.
How did you deal with that and take it mentally? Because, anything after you transplant, when I touch wood, it's all been going smoothly so far.
Mm-hmm.
But any sort of change, with me anyway, I'm a worrier. And I naturally think, right, what does that mean? Let's try and ask all the questions, get it under control. How have you found it?
I think I'm very similar to you. As soon as I've heard that this might be wrong or this might not be right, it's like, all right, what can I do to help? And essentially they said there's nothing you can do, which is what I expect anyway. So they started me on a new medication, and then eventually they did this. It's called a venesection, where they just drain your blood for you. But at the time, again, it's just one of those things. I didn't feel it. If they didn't tell me that I was suffering from this, I wouldn't have known. And it's just something that I just took on the chin and just went on with it, to be honest.
And if people want to watch that video or any other videos and find you on social media, where can they go to follow you?
Transplant Fitness on YouTube is the name of my YouTube channel. And then essentially all my social medias are called Transplant Fitness in one way or another, with a hashtag or an underscore. I'm mostly active on Instagram at the moment. I'm struggling to get into Twitter. The word limit limits how much information I can give people. So I'm a lot more active on Instagram. If you want to go get some more informed details from me, head over there.
And the topic of the explanations and the questions that you answer for people on there, I tweeted out Instagram, Facebook for some listener questions yesterday. We've had some come in. If anyone wants to get involved and ask some questions and get featured on the podcast, you can go to any of the Transplants Take on Sport social media pages. Instagram and Facebook are at Transplants Take on Sport Pod, and Twitter is at TTOSpod. If you go over there, you'll also find out who's coming on the podcast a day before we record, so you'll find out before it goes live. The first one came in from Matt, and he says, question for Mark. Do you use any supplements to deal with increased appetite or cravings? Asking if there are days when I eat enough to shame Henry VIII and still leave room for an extra pudding. Many thanks.
Oh, we've all had these cravings. Oh my goodness, Matt. Yeah. I mean, I would guess that Matt's had some sort of experience with taking prednisolone steroids or steroids at some point because your appetite is just increased throughout the whole day. At the moment, all I'm taking for supplements, I'm just taking a basic generic vitamin tablet with increased iron in the morning and nothing else after that. I've never been one to take protein powder, mainly because before when I had lupus, I can't take it and I've just never got into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, nothing other than just a basic vitamin tablet with increased iron at the moment.
And another question came in from Nathan. He says, how do you manage your energy levels post-transplant? I struggle to even get out of bed some days.
Me too, Nathan. Me too. You're not the only one. Trust me. There are different days. I think my energy levels are very, very connected to my diet at the moment. Like very, very connected. I know instantly how I'll be feeling the next day, depending on what I've had for dinner or lunch. At the moment, since Christmas, I'm in a really good groove with my diet. Post Christmas and COVID era, 2020 was terrible because you're eating for lots of other reasons other than the fact that you're hungry. But I would say just diet gives me the energy that I need for the day.
I don't know about you, and this might not be the answer that was wanted here, but after my transplant, my energy level shot up because I was so drained beforehand. Was that similar for you?
I think mine's have stayed pretty consistent. Like I said, the day before my transplant, I was having doing a 5K run, and then if anything, I've since the rejection, my energy levels have dropped, and they've slowly picked back up as well. So
I suppose the key thing there is everyone's different.
Yeah.
There's not one size fits all. Some people will be similar, but can take things from each other and learn from what other people have done. So
yeah, definitely.
Thank you everyone for sending in the questions. And as I said, if you'd like to send any in for the next time we record, if you go and follow the social media pages that I mentioned, then I'd love to hear from you. Mark, it's been a pleasure to talk to you. Before we go, got another little section. We mentioned before you want to get back to football again. What are your sporting plans for the future?
Sporting plans definitely include taking part in the transplant games. That's something that before my transplant, after knowing that I was going to have one, I thought that is something I definitely want to do. Compete at the transplant games, possibly not even playing football. Like I said, it's something that I need to decide. But I think just running, I enjoyed running so much, and it was something that I was better at than I thought I was going to be. That's something I definitely want to pursue. Since my transplant, before my transplant, I played tons of golf as well. That makes me sound like an old man right now. I swear I was only 20 at the time as well. But golf has been something that I've been playing quite a lot of, and that might be also something that I want to get into. But football's always going to be on the side, definitely always going to be on the side. But I think transplant games, world transplant games as well, if you want to look really, really big.
Aim high.
Yeah, that's definitely what I'm looking forward to.
Have you managed to get really many rounds of golf in the last year?
Not that many because of COVID and stuff. I think I played maybe twice last year, and I used to play probably literally once every 2 weeks before my transplant, so not that many this year.
You've seen the transplant games, so that's something you might be able to do.
Exactly.
And at the moment, you're currently taking part in the Kidney Research 850 Challenge. For those who aren't aware of that, what is it and how's it going for you?
I absolutely love this challenge. I'm always doing challenges for Kidney Research UK. They are an absolutely fantastic charity in the UK here, raising money and awareness for kidney disease patients throughout the UK. This current challenge is a year-long challenge, and it's something that mentally I definitely needed. It definitely has brought me back to a really good place after COVID 2020. And it's a year challenge where the number 850 is used, where you can create any challenge you want around the number 850. 850 is the number that is being used at the moment because currently there is an estimated 850 million people around the world with a kidney disease. So it's the number that's being used this year. My challenge is to walk 850 kilometers in the whole year, just using my walking as my measuring tool, not just my Fitbit steps and stuff like that. Actual walking 850 kilometers a year, and I'm absolutely loving it at the moment.
How far in are you so far?
I started in the middle of Jan, so I missed the first 2 weeks, and I think I've just passed 300k. So
Good start.
yeah, it's going well.
Still on track to get there.
I think I am. I need to do some more maths to work it out, but yeah, I think I will be.
Can people donate to your challenge and help kidney research?
Yes, they most definitely can. I have a Just Giving page set up. I've got quite a few things set up. It's all over my social media if anyone finds me there. And I'm always doing like extra added bits on the side as well. Like currently, I've got a raffle on the go for a brownie. I started making brownies and cakes after my transplant as well. Set up like a little side business as well, and that's going really well. So I've decided just to do a little charity raffle to give away a few treats and stuff for anyone that donates as well.
Good stuff. Well done, you. And I'll try and put the Just Giving link in the show notes.
Cool.
So if you're listening to the podcast now, depending on where you are, it'll either be up above where you're listening or below. It's somewhere on the page.
It'll be there, yeah.
So have a look. There'll be a link in there. And if you can, please do donate to kidney research. The work they do is incredible. Another question for me that's come up. You're on a course to become a primary school teacher.
Yeah.
It's a course that I'm going to be starting in September.
You brave man.
You've been doing your teaching placements throughout this time. How has it been teaching in a pandemic?
Oh, it's been strange. It's been absolutely insane, and it's something that this year again I don't think things don't normally hit me at the time. It's only when I look back, I think, damn, like did that really go through that? So yeah, I started my training actually way back in 2017, and I was training to become a teacher halfway through the course, and that's when my kidneys really started to fail. In the end, had to stop completely because I had to have my transplant in 2018, and then since then, health has got back to a good state. Started again last year, and then COVID came, and then so since September, I've been training to become a teacher. It's been going really, really well, and then I fell ill in October with pneumonia and spent 2 weeks in hospital there. So I've missed quite a lot of it, but I'm doing well at the moment, so I should be able to pass my course in the summer. Fingers crossed.
Excellent. I may pick your brains afterwards
Definitely.
on teaching questions, and especially around things like flu season with the jabs.
Yeah.
But I'll save that for after. One more question before we go, and it's one that I ask everyone. What's one piece of advice you'd give to someone facing a transplant?
My one piece of advice would just to be as organized as possible, understand everything as much as you possibly can, and go into it knowing that you can control things more than it can control you. Like there's tons of things that you need to deal with after your transplant, loads of medication. One blood test can bring back a result that you had no idea was going to happen. So as soon as you know what's happening, just read up on it, ask as many questions as possible, and just understand things as much as you can. Don't just go in blindly. I don't think it doesn't work. It doesn't work that well.
I think you're spot on there, and hopefully people can take something from your attitude, your approach, and determination to get through these obstacles that you've had along the way and come through the other side. And hopefully you can get involved in the transplant games, get back to football, golf.
Thank you.
And onwards and upwards.
Would love that.
Mark, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you today. Good luck with the YouTube and social media.
Thank you, Lewis. Yeah.
If people would like to go and check it out, we've mentioned it a few times, but Transplant Fitness, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, more Instagram because the character limit on Twitter.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but yeah, please go and check Mark out on there. I had a few reviews in. I say a lot of times if you listen on Apple Podcasts, it would mean a huge amount to me if you could go on there and rate it 5 stars on the show page, because it really does help more people discover the podcast. And if you give it a 5-star review, I will also read those out on the podcast. So we've had a couple in over the last couple of weeks now. First one comes in from Sean M. It says, pod for sports fans and people wanting to know more about transplants. A great pod. As someone who is currently going through workups for transplant, it's encouraging and reassuring to hear the stories of people who've been through it, and to know keeping active and participating in sport can still be a large part of post-transplant life. Highly recommend for those with a particular interest in transplant sport and sports fans in general. I like that because I've been saying this, probably more online. You don't have to be a transplant recipient to listen to this podcast. Hopefully you can just take something from the uplifting stories, the inspirational people who I have on as a guest. If you're just a sports fan, you can find out more about the opportunities that there are post-transplant. Another review came in from Bry Coates 1. It says, another great, interesting podcast. Another great interview story with Ashley Butcher Lewis. What a guy. Each person's story is unique and inspirational. So good to hear them getting on with life and accomplishing great things. I think that's something that I'd like people to take from it. Everyone who's been on here, or the majority, have been through transplants or been connected with transplants in some way, have come through the other side and now thriving, enjoying life again. Very grateful for the second chance. I know I am, and I'm sure you are as well, Mark.
Yeah, most definitely.
Thank you once again to my guest today, Mark Zoel. If you're enjoying the podcast, please make sure you tell your friends about it, tell your family, and we can bring more people in, get more listeners, and hopefully help people through the stories that are being told. If you're not enjoying it, please tell your friends you did anyway, because they might. We'll take them. We'll take them on board. We've mentioned the social media already, so please go and follow on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You can find out who's going to be on the podcast beforehand. And I'll try and get more active on there and share other things and clips that we may reference during the podcast. I know there was a Jeremy Clarkson one on a few weeks ago, so maybe if we can get the Wealdstone Raider bleeped, we'll see him on there as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Apple was mentioned. Please leave a review if you can. That would mean a lot to me. Thank you very much for listening as always, and the support has been incredible. Thank you again to my guest today, Mark Zoel. I've been Lewis Daniels, and you've been listening to Transplant's Take on Sport.